I'm Shireen Al-Feki. In today's program, a twist in the tale. We investigate how Sri Lanka's Tamil tigers are taking their battle to Britain. Sri Lanka is a bruised and battered country, blasted by the 2004 tsunami and torn apart by almost 25 years of civil war between the country's Sinhalese majority and its Tamil minority. The main rebel group, the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, or Tamil Tigers as they're better known, wants independence for the country's Tamil regions. Now, the civil war in Sri Lanka has already cost more than 60,000 lives. A 2002 ceasefire agreement between the government and the Tamil Tigers has essentially collapsed. Over the past year, the war has taken a new and deadly turn. The government has made significant gains in tiger-held territory, and now the rebels are fighting back. Their efforts are funded in part by the thousands of Sri Lankans who have fled the country. But some of these donations are far from voluntary. The Tigers are increasingly accused of using threats to extort money abroad to pay for their violent insurgency at home. People in Power's Juliana Ruhfus investigates the Tamil Tigers' financial front line in Britain.
Today is Heroes' Day for many of the Tamils of Sri Lanka. It commemorates the death of the first Tamil tiger fighter to be killed in 1982, and of all those who have died since in Sri Lanka's vicious civil war. Today, some of the Tamils of North London have come to Harrow Leisure Centre to mourn and remember.
Who are you supporting?
LTTE.
LTTE.
Freedom.
Do you think everybody here supports the LTTE?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's always
Yes, everybody?
We are respecting our heroes.
Yeah.
It's Heroes' Day.
We are here because there have been recent allegations of intimidation of Tamils by representatives of the Tigers organization. Can we film inside?
I won't be able to discuss anything with you at the moment without any permission.
Parts of the UK's 150,000 strong Tamil community appear increasingly wary towards non-Tamil media. In 2001, the British government labelled the Tamil Tigers, officially known as the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, or LTTE, as a terrorist group and banned them. Other countries have also done so. But now the UK has made even glorification of such groups a criminal offence. Everyone here could be breaking the law.
Well, I think it's very unfair. I think as long as none of the rules of the land is not broken, people should have the freedom to express their views and speak openly. Where is the freedom of speech? Go on.
Because of the ban, this year the organisers of Heroes' Day, the British Tamil Association, have had problems getting access to the largest London venues they used in the past. The BTA organisers deny any connection to the Tigers, but inside a speech by the LTTE leader, Villupillai Prabhakaran, will be broadcast live.
I love my leader. I don't care for money. That's only my love to my leader. That's it.
And how much do you give every month?
I mean, something like that.
For the last year, there's been a fundraising drive by the LTTE for what's being called a final war with Sri Lanka. A recent Human Rights Watch report alleges various degrees of intimidation of British Tamils to make them donate to that cause.
The war in Sri Lanka was started by discrimination from the majority Buddhist government towards the Hindu Tamil minority after independence from Britain in 1948. As many as 70,000 people have died in the fighting, and both sides are accused of numerous atrocities. Today, in his Heroes' Day broadcast from Tiger-governed northern Sri Lanka, the leader Prabhakaran blames the Sri Lankan government for the failure of peace talks and finally declares them over. The war is set to escalate. Of all the people we spoke to who said they'd been intimidated by LTTE fundraisers, most were too scared to go on record. This shopkeeper was the only one who agreed to appear on camera.
The day they came to your shop,
Yeah.
what happened? What did they ask you for? What took place?
Yeah, you come on the shop, you read one of the file in your hand. You come ask, our collector, our come from LTT, Tamil and the Vidala Puliyal. What's the problem? Now I want the money, every shop people give the money. You give you any one penny, you give the £50,000. I said no. He said, you remortgage your house, you give the money back. I said, no.
And they threatened you?
Yeah, he phoned 3-4 times. I want to kill you.
Such threats to Tamils abroad or their more vulnerable relatives in Sri Lanka seem to have created a culture of fear amongst dissenters to the LTTE. This man has had repeated visits from fundraisers. He was afraid to show even the colour of his wallpaper in case he could be identified.
They said, we are from the LTTE, you have to give us money. I was very scared to talk to them. They said this is the final war. They have to buy anti-aircraft missiles. Many people won't speak out because they don't know to what extent the British police will take action. The LTTE will take revenge either in Sri Lanka or here. There is even a possibility of being murdered because they have committed murders in Europe.
Despite the intimidation, one effect of the UK government ban seems to have been to encourage dissenters to come forward.
Diaspora is the big bang for the LTTE. The recent fundraising drive started in November 2005. It was the biggest fundraising drive. The agenda, of course, final war, fundraising for the final war. And the money extracted from people, I know people who have given £2,000, I know people who have given £100,000.
Rajasingham Jayadevan is an accountant and a former member of the LTTE. He used to raise funds for them through contributions made to the Hindu temple he manages in Wembley in northwest London. He was also a director for the Tamil Housing Association. When the UK ban was passed, he took decisions which set him on a collision course with the Tiger leadership.
In 2001, when the Terrorism Act was passed, I knew in the Tamil Housing Association there are chaps who were collecting funds. And when I go for police meeting, the police complaint, they say about fundraising activities of the LTT, they are very concerned about it. So I sent a memorandum to all the staff asking them to abide by the 2001 Act. They shouldn't get involved in the fundraising activities representing the Housing Association in any way. And I faced considerable problem as a result of that memo.
Nevertheless, Jayadevan wanted to challenge the ban in the courts. He says he came under heavy pressure from the Tigers to drop the matter.
They said, oh, we don't care about the proscription. As far as we are concerned, we know how to effectively manage the Tamil people in the UK. We take control of every Tamil organizations in the UK. And once we have control of those organizations, you see, we don't have to worry about the proscription or anything.
In the end, Jayadevan flew to Sri Lanka to put his case to the LTTE leadership. They ended up demanding control of his temple and the income it generated.
The LTTE officials came to us and they insisted the temple should be transferred to one of the appointees. They took us to a compound. They said we had to be detained for 7 days for investigation. I was for 62 days.
Why did you not just leave?
I couldn't leave because I was surrounded.
But what would have happened if you would have tried
If I didn't do it, they would have killed me.
Jayadevan signed the papers to transfer the temple, not believing they would stand up in a British court. They didn't. Deeply disillusioned with the LTTE, he is now chairman of the UK's Tamil Democratic Congress, which is trying to offer an alternative voice to that of the Tigers. In response, a campaign has been launched against him outside the temple. It accuses him of embezzling donations that are meant for charitable purposes.
Jayadevan is spending his money for his own purpose, not for the other purpose, not for charity or anything else.
All the money going to be his family.
Jayadevan claims the protest is simply an LTTE attempt to discredit him.
I was accused of financial fraud. I was accused of womanizing. I have been accused of alcoholic. And also my family and children were targeted. Even today, I received calls, anonymous calls, threatening calls. It is ongoing continuously. They continuously harass me and hound me.
Was that you?
That's me. Yeah. That is me. They know how to doctor pictures, you see. Very childish. Right? You can see the telephone number of Rajan. He's the one who threw the fried chicken oil into the temple and also threw eggs at the temple. and finally he was warned by the police.
Yet Rajan claims that it is Jayadevan's supporters who are targeting him.
What happened?
The Jayadevan's, friends are doing throw the paint. Everyone knows. They break the glass. They break this glass 2 times. They throw the paints and eggs and.
Okay. So what is that?
The LTTE Rowdy Rajan behind TBC attack. I don't know who. I'm not LTTE.
They actually call you the LTTE hitman.
Yeah. That is a
Rowdy Rajan. That's how they call you.
Look. If I'm Rowdy Rajan, I have squab and gun and everything.
However, Rajan is due in court soon for threatening behaviour at the Tamil Broadcasting Corporation. The TBC is an independent radio station critical of the Tigers. They've been broken into 3 times in the last 2 years.
Did you witness the break-in, or did you?
No, he just told me about it next door. He said it was broken into again. I saw that.
So how did they get in, do you know?
They packed up on the roof of the van, apparently.
Oh, really? So they stood on the van and just went in through the window then?
This is not testing. This is a pencil. This is so no? Die anderen Sachen alles zum Weg. Ich hab's alles Müllton. Ja, alles ist aufgekommen. Und alles passiert. Ja, diese Leute wünschen nichts mehr weiter. Dieser funktioniert, das ist die Sendung. Weil von dieser Partei früher, es ist genau wie eine Mafia. Diese Partei, ganze Welt sammelt Geld. Aber wir haben von diesem Radio gesagt raus, braucht nichts mehr bezahlen. Dieser Geld macht immer viele Maschinenköder kaufen. Diese Gruppe macht das alles kaputt in unserer Heimat. Bitte Leute nichts mehr bezahlen.
Join us after the break when we look at Sri Lanka's Tamil community under pressure in Britain.
Most people in America here as a security fence. It's not a fence, it's a wall.
Even the sectarian tension, believe it or not, it's a foreign agenda. It's not an Iraqi agenda.
So the paradox about the Iranians is that they're almost inviting a strike.
As long as Hamas does not approve to this election is not going to happen.
Opinion makers giving their opinion. Talk to Al Jazeera.
Qatar is carefully investing $130 billion to build a dynamic and sustainable economy for the benefit of its people and its partners. The Qatar Financial Center, ready for business.
Asia, a region of economic and military powers. Reporting from the Asia Pacific, 101 East on Al Jazeera.
We're Al Jazeera. Can we ask you some questions? We're less than an hour into this new ceasefire.
We've been told not to film inside because we'll be arrested again.
Their demands are simple. End the violence, end the infighting.
We can't really understand what's going on. Who's shooting at who, really?
Welcome back to People and Power. The Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam is Sri Lanka's main rebel group, intent on independence for the country's Tamil minority through bloody civil war. The group is banned in Britain as a terrorist organisation, but that doesn't stop its highly controversial and allegedly violent fundraising. Our reporter, Juliana Ruhfus, continues her investigation into the Tamil Tigers.
The British ban on the LTTE seems to have very little effect on the organisation's activities here in the UK. The Human Rights Watch report quotes a British police officer who says, "We know that extortion is going on, but this is not a priority for the British government. When we look at what we need to concentrate our resources on in terms of terrorist groups, we are focusing on Islamic groups."
Andy Love is Labour MP for Edmonton in North London. He has received various police reports about Tamils in the borough claiming to have been intimidated by LTTE supporters.
There is a ban in place on the LTTE. Do you think that it's sufficiently enforced and policed?
I'm certainly aware of organisations which espouse the political views of the LTTE who will tell you privately that they are sympathetic to them. And I'm even aware of activity. For example, there was a large demonstration and rally in Hyde Park where there was a huge banner of the leader of the LTTE erected. And it does seem to me in those circumstances one has to question whether enough is being done in order to ensure that the ban is upheld.
Why do you think nobody did anything about that?
I do think that the police need to take more interest in what is happening. But I do think the police face some genuine difficulties because, of course, organisations that become recognised as fronts for the LTTE, they will change. They will change their name, they will change where they're doing their organising. And it's always difficult for the police to keep up with those changes taking place.
The organisation most frequently linked to the LTTE here in the UK is the BTA, the British Tamil Association, the organisers of Heroes Day. We've repeatedly asked them for an interview and they've repeatedly declined. However, what we have found is a former Tamil Tiger who is confirming allegations that if diaspora Tamils want to return to Tamil held territory in Sri Lanka, they're being charged a tax of £1 a day for every day they've spent abroad. He's prepared to give us an interview, but he's also requesting that we conceal his identity.
The LTTE used to come to houses to collect money. They demanded that I should pay monthly. They said, "You didn't pay a cent after coming to London. If we go to Sri Lanka, they will only let us in if we show this number. Otherwise, they detain us." I was paying £30 a month. I have the receipt.
So this is interesting. This is the British Tamil Association. They came to collect money and they said, we basically say we're the BTA because we can't say that we're LTTE, but this money is going for LTTE purposes. They also mentioned the final war, so definitely war there. They issued a receipt which has got a personal identification number. If you next travel to Sri Lanka to Tamil held territory, you give them that identification number, and with it, they actually let you pass because it shows that you're a paid-up person.
In spite of the denials of the BTA, this receipt, along with the testimony of our interviewee, links the BTA to the banned LTTE. It shows that some Tamils are being held to ransom by the very organisation that claims to be fighting for them. The Tamils of Sri Lanka seem to be stuck between a rock and a hard place. On the one side, a government that has done little to address their grievances with more than bombs and bullets. On the other, the hardline Tigers that early on established themselves as the only voice for the Tamils by wiping out all other rebel groups. Nirmala Rajasingham has bitter experience of how both the Sri Lankan government and the LTTE react to those who oppose them. In 1982, as a supporter of the Tigers, she became the first woman to be imprisoned in Sri Lanka under the country's Prevention of Terrorism Act. Later, the LTTE engineered her escape.
Well, the LTTE basically rescued me from prison because I was their person then. Then, of course, I went to India to live with them and work with them, and within 6 months I was out of the movement because when I went into inside the organisation, I realised this is not my place. This is it's just totally undemocratic. Internal killings of cadres had started to happen then itself. Cadres who were challenging the authority were being quietly taken away and finished off.
A few years later, Nirmala's younger sister was killed in Sri Lanka for her criticisms of the tigers. It may be that an alternative voice to the LTTE can only arise abroad.
We felt that we could start organizing this now to create a democratic space for an alternative Tamil voice to come up. Because the LTTE claim to be the sole representative of the Tamil people, and we know that they are not. Because we know that both here and in Sri Lanka, there are a lot of people who are totally disgruntled with the LTTE, totally. Not simply because they have had family members murdered, but because of their very behavior of control, of taxation, of child abduction, of political killings. People are fed up. They have had enough.
While we are filming, a possibility arises to gauge how British Tamils really feel about the tigers. A week ago, Anton Balasingham, the LTTE's ideologue, died here in London after a long battle with cancer. Today, the British Tamil organisation has organised a huge memorial service to remember him. We're trying to get access to the event, which we've been denied in advance, but we're still here to try and see what we can actually do. A UK resident, Balasingham was second only to the leader Prabhakaran in his importance to the tigers. The British Tamil Association managed to book the Alexandra Palace in North London before any authorities could object. The scale of this event is absolutely extraordinary. There's an arrival point for buses over there. There are buses coming from airports. People have been flying in from Switzerland, from France. In fact, they're saying from pretty much all countries in Europe. And there's a queue going all the way around the building, which is where the British Tamils are queuing. And there are literally thousands of Tamils in that queue. There are about 150,000 Sri Lankan Tamils in the UK. Today, up to a third are here. This huge farewell to the LTTE spokesman could easily count as the glorification of prescribed groups, criminalised by the recent Terrorism Act. But the police stick to admiring the BTA's crowd control. We try to slip inside to speak to the organisers, to any member of the BTA.
Why is that?
Because it's a private property, we don't want anybody on here filming.
Are you working at Alexandra Palace or
No,
with the BTA?
I work for the BTA. I'm outside you to leave the premises. Okay, so back down onto the road, please.
The BTA may refuse to talk to us, but the numbers here speak for themselves. While there is no doubt that some are being intimidated, the majority of UK Tamils do seem to see the tigers as the only effective opposition to the policies of the Sri Lankan government. Many feel that the UK's ban on the LTTE is one-sided and only gets in the way of possible dialogue.
Appeals to the Prime Minister and also all three parties to actually look at the ban and say the justification for it, whether this is hindering the peace process or really promoting the peace process. Actually, one can see it is actually hindering the process. And also people feel the whole community has been criminalized.
I cannot see the LTTE having the political imagination to sit down with the state and other political groups to accommodate all opinions, to work out a solution. I see them being completely politically bankrupt. They have this very self-destructive, nihilist ideology of suicide bombing and killing. Apart from that, they have no other answer to the Tamil people. The people who sit here in the diaspora and continue to support the LTTE are being very responsible. They should focus their energies, instead of supporting the LTTE, they can focus their energies on pressurizing the Sri Lankan state for a viable political solution. Some kind of autonomy, some kind of devolution of power, which is what we need in this island.
With the war escalating, the approach of the international community appears half-baked. Issuing unenforced bans isn't solving the problem. But stronger support for an effective peace process could help existing efforts to solve this intractable conflict.
That's all for this edition. But for more on today's story and to share your ideas about people and power in your world, visit our website, aljazeera.net/English. Join us again next time. Goodbye.